Hello teachers, today I'm going to show you how I'm preparing a digital lesson using Google Slides. Google Slides is a presentation software that Google offers, much like Microsoft PowerPoint. The reason why I like it better than PowerPoint is because it integrates with Google Apps a lot easier. You can upload YouTube videos and integrate them a lot easier. You can share your slides with your students through Google Drive and Google Classroom a lot easier. So it's just an easier platform to use. By all means, though, if you are more familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint and you can do very similar things that I'm going to show you here, then feel free to use it. So Google Slides works the same as most other Google apps. You can essentially edit things, drag and drop, add text, whatever, but it is more visual, so it is a little easier for students to follow along. So this is just one example of how you can form a digital lesson that your students can access at any time, because you'll give them the sharing link on Google Classroom. So you'll essentially share this presentation with them and only use this one slide. Don't make a bunch of different slides for each day. Just stick to one, because then the students only ever need to access this one link. That is a very important thing that I want you guys to all understand, because it'll be easier for you to organize everything and it'll be easier for them to access everything. So essentially, this is going to be one link that I'm just going to keep updating every single day or whenever I have more announcements and more work for them. So I'm going to get into kind of the back door of what I did to formulate this, and this is still an evolving document, like I said, so I'm still making tweaks and edits to it. So the first thing that I did is, you'll notice that I'm not using one of their templates. I'm just using color backgrounds, right? Just by going to background and clicking any color that I want. And the first page, I'd put the course name. So for me, this could be 11th grade British literature, and I'll put that information right down there just so that I can keep track of all the different classes that I have. And then the very first slide after the title that I'm going to have, and I'm going to keep here at all times, is announcements. And this is where I'm going to tell all my students, I'm going to post announcements on the slide every time that there's something new that they need to know. Now, this isn't too important if you don't want it, because you can put your announcements straight onto Google Classroom on the stream page, so it's not imperative that you do this, but I always like having more communication than not, so I'll likely post announcements here, and I'll post announcements in Google Classroom. So as you can see here, I had this slide from a couple days ago when we knew that school would be closed on Monday, so I put this in there. Now, my students don't have access to this slide yet, so they're not seeing the changes, but let's just pretend that they did. So right now, obviously, we just found information that our school's going to be closed all week. So I could actually change this, and I can say school is closed for the rest of the week. Please adhere to these lesson plans and let me know if you have questions. Right? Super simple. I just updated it. Boom, it's right there. Now, as soon as you update something, the students who have this slideshow link will also be able to see those updates. And it's actually March 16th to the 21st, maybe? I don't know. So it's just an announcement page there. So let me show you what some of my other pages look like. And then I get into the lessons. So this is lesson 1. And I'm saying you could input your agenda for a specific lesson here. And you could also hyperlink these, which means that if I click on this, it'll bring me to a different location. Now, you're probably familiar with that because hyperlinks bring you to other web pages, but within Google Slides, you could actually hyperlink into your own slide. So what that looks like is this. If a student is seeing this page and they say, oh, instructions and objective, but eventually, let's say we're out of school for a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, who knows? This document becomes pretty long. So how are they going to navigate it? Well, very simply, they could click on this and it'll say slide 4. So the instructions and objective is actually listed on slide 4. And if I click that, it will bring me straight to that slide. So that is why that hyperlinking is very important. And to do that, all you have to do is highlight any set of text, right click on it, go down to link. And then instead of linking through pasting a URL, you're going to click on the slides in this presentation, and then you're going to click on whatever slide you actually want it to go to. So super simple to do, but I'd recommend doing this for every single lesson, because let's say a student needs to go down to the last task, journal perspectives. All they have to do is click on it and it'll bring them to that specific slide. So again, this is helpful if you end up having a lot of slides for one lesson, or if you have a lot of slides throughout the course of an entire slideshow. So then after that, I have my actual instructions and objective, which is very similar to what you would have in a normal classroom. You post the objective, you post all the instructions. Now, they can see all this on the other slides as well, but if they wanted to, they could kind of get all their links that they need right here. So I'm telling them to read part of a play, watch part of that play, 5 journal entries, and also play a review game at the end to check for understanding. And as you can see, I hyperlinked all of this as well. So this hyperlink brings them to an actual text version of the play. This brings them to the actual video presentation on YouTube, and this brings them to my instructions through Google Drive of what they're supposed to do. So this is one as well. And notice the colors have been different. I like color coordinating different things. So the instruction pages will be blue, agenda pages will be yellow, announcements will always be in red, and their action or their tasks will be in this purple type of color. So this is actually task 1. I'm asking them to read, and I like to put some kind of notes that I would tell them in class, that while they're reading, I want you to keep track of this, I want you to take good notes. And I gave them a little bit of announcement saying that I provided them with the text. There's multiple versions of it. Feel free to use which one they want. The next slide, task number 2. Now what I did here is I give them instructions to watch the play version, which I could embed through a YouTube video straight here. The way I did that is I go to Insert, Video, and it brings up the YouTube option. Now from here you can search your actual YouTube video, or you can copy and paste the link. So for me, I had the link here from the YouTube version. I copied and I pasted it right in there. And then it specifically comes up and I hit select and enter it in there so they could see that. Now the video that's down here is actually a video I made using Screencastify. It's a 3-minute video that tells them what to expect from the play version and goes over some more instructions, and is kind of like my mini lecture for them for this. Now next I had one of the last tasks is just to actually do something and submit that on Google Classroom. So I posted a hyperlink to their instructions, which is a page from my Google Drive, as you can see here, so they can view that. And I'm asking them to make sure that they post this specific assignment on Google Classroom under a specific heading. Now, please keep in mind that if you're ever linking anything like I did here with this hyperlink to a Google Drive document, you need to make sure that they can have access to view it. It cannot just be blocked to you. All right. You need to make sure that all students have access to it by going to the sharing settings, much like you would on any Google app or document. Just like here, I'd have to go to the upper right hand corner. It says private only to me. I would click on that, share, and nobody can see this right now except for me. But when I hit get shareable link, there's different options. Anyone at Calvary Christian School with the link can view. I can change it to edit if I wanted to. You do not want to do that for most of your documents, because then students would have access to change things. I could click on more. I can make it to where the settings are public on the web. Anyone with the link can view. Anyone at Calvary Christian School can view, and so on and so forth, much like you already do in Google Classroom. So now for me, these same directions will be on the Google Classroom assignment, so it's not the end of the world if they don't happen to see this specific task card. But again, the more communication, the better. So yes, they see this here in the Google slide, but it's also in Google Classroom. And lastly, I have a task to check their understanding by playing a review game, which I hyperlinked right here. This could be a Kahoot, it could be a Quizlet, quizzes, whatever you want to hyperlink to, that's fine. So that's a very miniature lesson. It's just one example of something that you can do, but hopefully it gets your mind kind of racing and trying to come up with some ideas for your own classroom on what you can do. When I go in and I create, let's say, a second lesson, so let's say I'm just going to make a new slide. Instead of putting my second lesson, let's say I'm at lesson 2, instead of putting it all the way down here, forcing my students to always scroll, I'm always going to have the most recent lesson all the way up at the top. I'm always going to do that. And you could just drag it, or you can right click and move it to the beginning. You can do that. I recommend doing that because as soon as this document gets longer, if you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 plus lessons in this slideshow, it's going to be very cumbersome for a student to log in and scroll all the way down. So it's a lot easier if they log in and they say, oh, the most recent lesson is right here. Boom, lesson 2. So there you have it. That is how I'm preparing for potential digital lessons using Google Slides.